So YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm kind of going to go over in this episode about training and how you can make sure someone that's busy or spends a lot of time with juggling things in life, that you make sure that you get your sessions in and that you're making progress and not spending all your time in the gym basically. So I'm going to go over my training split, the rationale behind it, someone who's a parent, to someone who's a husband, and someone that is just juggling a lot of plates, and how you can make sure that you don't drop the ball when it comes to your training, because especially as a man who's all those things that I said before, I feel like the noble thing is to put yourself last, is to put everything else above yourself. And to an extent, or there's times where you would and you do need to do that, but I also feel like if you don't take care of yourself, this isn't just men but women as well, women or mums have the same guilt, I know, as well. But if you don't fill your own cup, you're not going to be able to kind of pour out into other people's cups. So I'm going to go over my training, as I said, the rationale behind it, and everything that goes into making sure that you progress. I'm going to finish this session and I get home and I'll explain my training split and how you can make sure that you get the most out of it if you're someone that's dead busy. So now that I'm back home, let's go over some of my rationale behind why I structure my training the way I do. So point number one is that getting 2 or 3 full body days, and from my example here where I want to improve my conditioning and my running, is doing it like this is going to get you biggest bang for your buck. Now, I've trained with your traditional bro split, I've done push-pull legs, I've done 2 upper, 2 lower, and I don't get the biggest bang for my buck because it's taken me a lot of time to get sessions done. And also my recovery was crap when you add in some of the interference that comes in with doing conditioning or running. And doing it the way that I've set it up not only allows me to get enough recovery, but it also allows me to get enough stimulus and train each muscle group at least 2 times a week, which is the sweet spot. But like I said, more importantly, it silences some of that interference effect between my lifting and my running, and it gives me enough time to recover from the sessions that I'm doing. And I'm aware, because I'm not hitting my muscles or training as often or as frequently or as many sets in terms of volume across the week. But what I am doing to kind of compensate for that is I'm making sure that I'm taking every single set as close to failure as I possibly can, leaving no more than 2 reps on the table, depending on what the movement is. For anything that's isolated, so like a bicep curl, anything that I'm basically working just one muscle group across one joint, I am trying to take those exercises as close, or I'm taking them to complete failure, until complete mechanical failure, where I can't physically do another another concentric rep. For my bigger movements, for my compound lifts, where it's safe, I'm leaving probably 1 rep on the table. And if it's something that I don't have that much safety or security, like a barbell back squat, for example, then I am leaving around 2 reps on the table. So because I'm doing this, it's allowing me to have a higher output in my sessions. I'm allowed to go closer to failure because I know I have the time after it to recover before I go on my run or hit that muscle group again in a couple or 3 days time. What it's also doing is it's making me train big compound movements because I don't have a lot of time in the gym. So it's allowing me to increase my strength across my full body a little bit quicker because I'm hitting those big compound lifts and not spending time just working one muscle group, like doing a bro split, for example. And like I said, these kind of less isolated movements are allowing me to get stronger and compound strength across my body with less reps and less volume across the working week. And the kind of last thing here, especially for me, that I am trying to diet down a little bit, is these big compound movements are very taxing on your body. They take a lot of calories and a lot of effort to do these movements. So if you are doing something that requires a lot or more than 2 muscle groups to work at a time, it's going to be very metabolically taxing on your body. So it's going to mean that I have to expend more calories to work harder and to work larger muscle groups in my body. So again, in terms of amount of calories burnt in a day or in a week, it's increasing that number without doing really much else extra, and it's kind of keeping my weekly routine looking similar, but I'm just training harder, which means I'm burning more calories when I'm training as well. And the last thing it gives me is I'm in and out of the gym in 70 minutes max. Most days I'm getting out within 55, 60 minutes, but 70 minutes is max. So for someone that is working, for someone that is busy, for someone that is a parent, for someone that is a committed partner and a husband to someone, one, I value family time, but then also two, I don't have a lot of time to kind of spend 80, 90 and 2 hours in the gym. It's allowing me to get in, get out within 70 minutes max, and it's given me more time to spend with my family. So you probably heard all that and thought, well, what is your current training split? What are you actually doing in terms of your training? So I'm going to give you a kind of 4-day working training split with an option to have a 5th day in here if you have the time. So for me, for Monday, I start with what is my hardest session to get myself revved up for. So running for me has always had a love-hate relationship, or I've always had a love-hate relationship with running. So for me, I always make sure, like the book says, eat the frog first. I like to get my hardest or mentally taxing sessions done at the start of the week. So for me, I've just had Saturday and Sunday off, which I'll come to at the end. So I'm able to be mentally fresh to go back in and do something on Monday that is very mentally taxing for me. So for me, I do my running on Monday. And yeah, it's only a zone 2 and an easy run, but as I get better at this, one, I'm going to have to maybe run a little bit quicker to stay in zone 2 as my aerobic base gets better and I get fitter. But also I want to increase the mileage in it. So for now, I'm only doing 45 to 60 minutes at zone 2, which I started off at half an hour and I've built it up. I've done 45 minutes for this last week. I've done 50 minutes, 2 weeks ago, I've done 50 minutes last week, and then Monday just gone, which was yesterday, I done an hour at zone 2, and I'm getting better at I've done a video previously on my channel about how zone 2 is killing people's running, and it's just because a lot of people don't have the aerobic base to stay in zone 2. So anytime they go out for a run, they get into zone 3 and 4 very quickly and don't get the benefits of zone 2, which there is a lot in terms of building your base. So I've just been really trying to focus on almost running too slow, where I can stay in zone 2 and keep my heart rate in that zone 2 level. So that's what I've been building up to. So yesterday I had a really good zone 2 run at 60 minutes on feet, and that is my first session of the week. We then go into Tuesday, and this splits week to week in terms of what I do in terms of a lower body day. This is my big kind of compound lift day of the week, where I'm going to be trying to push or pull as much weight, as I possibly can. So today is Tuesday, and I've just come back from the gym, which you would have seen in the previous clips, and I done a deadlift session, which was a kind of a barbell wave loading session with deadlifts, but that could be swapped out for a barbell squat as well, depending on what's on the program on that day. So it'll be either a big push or a big pull lower body day. Again, building up to a top set of 1 or 2. Today was a top set of 3, repeated twice. So that was kind of a hard session today, but we are getting into that sort of intensification part of my program. And if you don't know what this means, I'll do a full video on this explaining the 3 ways that I kind of structure my training, going from a foundation to an intensification onto a testing phase, and then we recycle and go back again after a deload. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. So everything is ramping up. So I had that today, and then finished off with some push-pull supersets, so some upper body and some lower body push-pull supersets here. The first 2 push-pull supersets were kind of compound movements. So today I had a overhead press, dumbbell half kneeling overhead press, and I had that supersetted with a horizontal row. Wednesday, which will be tomorrow, will be my rest day. And then coming back in on Thursday, we are back onto running or conditioning. Now for me, for this block, the main kind of KPI or the main condition piece that I'm going to test in week 10 is going to be a 2K ski time trial. But no matter whether it's ski, row, running, wherever it is, this conditioning session is always a higher intensity in that zone 3, 4, or even zone 5, which is the threshold kind of part of conditioning. And that's what I'm trying to also get fitter at, is working at a higher intensity for longer. So what I'll have on Thursday is, I think it's a 1K ski at threshold times 5, so it'll be 5K in total. And then there's an option at the end for a bit of a zone 2 run, something to kind of bring the heart rate back down, something to kind of flush some of that fatigue from that session, because that will be something that will accrue a lot of fatigue in. And another example which you can swap out for this for a run, which would be something that I have done before, which would be something like a 400 meter run at threshold times 8 or 10, and then the rest is just how long it took you to do that 400 meters. So if it took you a minute to do it, you'll have a minute rest, and you repeat that 8 to 10 times. Then on Friday, I have my second full body day, and this will be a upper body focus day. So for me on Friday, it's a strict barbell overhead press. And then again, similar to the session I done today, this is followed by another push-pull superset. For this example, or for this day, it'll be a lower body one. So I've got some leg extensions with some seated leg curls. I sometimes swap the leg extensions for some split squats, depending if I feel like I want to die or not on that day. And then again, for the 2 days that I am doing the full body days, I always make sure that I finish with a bicep and a tricep superset. Again, you can't see fitness, you can see big arms, and any man or even women potentially want, if it's not big arms, you want muscular arms. So I definitely always make sure that I'm hitting biceps and triceps for about 4 or 6 sets across the week, and I'll come on to why I do this at the back end of the video. And then Saturday or Sunday, which I like to have both of them as rest days, but if I have the time and me training isn't gonna be a conflict with what I've got going on in the weekend, I will get in an optional session here, which will be another full body day. But like I said earlier, my priority is spending time with family. My working week is done, so I try to match that with my training week. So if I can get away with doing a session, getting up a little bit early, I will do. If not, other things will take priority, and I'll just have 2 full rest days. Sometimes I can go out on a run on the Saturday, especially, just again another zone 2 easy run just to build up the mileage. But one thing you have to keep in consideration here, especially with hybrid training, you hear a lot of people talking about easy runs or recovery runs. You want to make sure that you have at least 1 full rest day. I'm not telling you to go on a recovery run or recovery bike or whatever it'll be to flush out fatigue or whatever. A complete rest day. If you want to have an optional day, or I have an optional day where I can do a little bit more and take my training week to 5 days, I can. But if not, I'm not really bothered, because I've amassed enough fatigue, enough kind of training stimulus across the week to get the job done. Now, how would you adapt these changes to suit you and what your goals are? That's what I'm going to get onto next. So research shows, or the general consensus in research shows, that you need roughly 12 to 20 reps per muscle group per week to build some muscle tissue. But for someone like me or you listening, who may be someone that's trained for a long period of time, then you don't have to actually hit as much as 12 sets per week. You can actually go as low as about 5 sets per week per muscle group and still get good stimulus across the week. But for this, the goal here mainly would be to maintain muscle tissue. That's why I'm saying, if you have the training experience, then you probably don't need to train as hard to keep the muscle that you already have, but you do need to train really hard and with enough volume across the week to grow muscle tissue. So here's where the road kind of splits off. And a lot of people start hybrid training and just focus all on conditioning, because that's what they think makes a hybrid athlete. And then you end up either getting skinny fat, you end up getting good conditioning, but your physique doesn't look any different. So I always say, focus on building muscle at the start before you include other variations of hybrid training. So if you are someone that's new to training, if you're someone that hasn't amassed enough muscle tissue, because again, running will cut into that if you're not careful or you're not using it. Also, if you are someone that has got the muscle, then it's either use it or lose it. So if you're not going to be doing upwards of 5 sets per week, then you're going to lose your muscle basically, especially if you're prioritizing or majorly prioritizing your running and your conditioning. So please make sure, again, if you do have the muscle already, use it or lose it. So for this, you've got to ask yourself the question, do you have enough muscle to warrant you focusing on your conditioning? Or are you someone that is prioritizing your conditioning at the detriment of how you look and how much muscle you carry? Because the goal for whatever you do in terms of your life should be building as much muscle as you possibly can. It's going to have the highest return of investment in terms of your overall health, especially as you get older. Now, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a nugget here. So if you want this free 4-day training split for yourself, for you to go and use, if you just comment the word split on my Instagram, which will be in my description, I'll send you over this free 4-day training split with a tracker for you to make sure that you can progressively overload every single week. And alternatively, if you do want help tailoring this, making it bespoke to you, if you just comment the word OS, again, if you DM me that word OS, then I give you some more information of how we can work one-to-one and make sure that we get you to the goal that you want. Apart from now, I'll see you on the next one.